this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from OKKHM Joe. And OKKHM Joe asks another question on the subject of karma. And he brings up the subject of Dr. Kevorkian, the famous euthanasia doctor. And his question is, how does karma deal with something like that? And he goes on to point out that Dr. Kevorkian felt he was helping people, and many of the people that he killed also felt they were being helped. And OKKHM Joe asks whether this would be a joint karma. And there are a couple of important points to make about this, but the first one, and the answer to the actual question, is, in my opinion, there is no such thing as joint karma. Now, there may be many situations from which all participants walk away with karma, but in each case it will be their own individual karma, which has to do with the nature of their particular soul and how it has attached to and reacted to the situation. And another person's karma really never has anything to do with your own. And two people can be in the same situation, do virtually the same thing, and come away with very different karma from the same situation. So, no, I would not consider it joint karma. However, as to the question of how karma deals with it, I believe that karma works by attachment, and how the soul attaches has everything to do with the karma that they will continue to experience from the situation. It's also worth bearing in mind that in any given situation, it may already be a karmic reaction that may have been going on through many lifetimes before you ever got to this one. The soul will examine the situation and the issues involved in it from many different angles in many different lifetimes. And it will continue to do that until it has learned everything there is to know, or everything that it needs to know, regarding that situation, that belief, that emotion, etc. So with someone like Dr. Kevorkian, I would assume that he would have had many lifetimes dealing with issues of life and death, and quality of life. Lifetimes in which he desperately wanted to live, lifetimes in which he was praying to die, which sadly some people do. Lifetimes in which he worked very hard to keep people alive, and lifetimes in which he helped them over to the other side. And some of these may be his past lives, some may be his future lives, but I would assume his soul is looking at it from many different angles. And we've talked on the vlog before about the dissonance between human ideas of what is right and wrong, and cosmic ideas, and that these are not at all identical. And this is actually a very good example of that, because many people in our present society would regard Dr. Kevorkian as having been a very bad man. However, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily existentially the case. If you were to go back to the 1920s, many people in this country thought the Ku Klux Klan was great. That doesn't mean karma looks at it that way. If you were to go back several hundred years, there were many people who thought colonization of the world by Europe was the best thing, which is not necessarily how we would look at it now. At one time, almost everyone thought slavery was great except the slaves. Society moved beyond it. We now consider that a horrible thing, but at the time, people did not. And so we must be very careful about presuming that how we look at things in this particular lifetime is in any way the same as how the cosmos looks at it, how deity looks at it. Deity's view can sometimes be strikingly different from our own, and whether we like that or whether we don't, it simply is the case. And so when we ask how karma will deal with something, it isn't necessarily how we would consciously choose to deal with it. It has to do with much more cosmic and existential principles. So I hope that answers your question and gives you something to think about, and until next time, may you blessed be. Today's vlog is brought to us by the term psychism.
Psychism. Magic is the art of actively using the powers of the soul. Psychism is the art of using those same powers passively, to receive information or communication from the higher self or from others. Magic and psychism are intimately connected, and the division between them is arbitrary, made solely to simplify understanding.